Peter Thomsen asks, how do you use enterprise architecture to enable change, and what motivates stakeholders to step outside of their comfort zones? Well, in my experience, what works really well is an emphasis on play, making it tangible, making it fun. One real example that we started with very early on in Australia Post was showing the difference between physical data, people-oriented processes, and then business purpose and the drivers for things, but with a really simple little cardboard model. We made lots of copies of this, and we saw them appearing on people's desks because it makes things tangible. It makes the difference clear. If we rotate it, different things come into view. We see different comparisons about what's going on. Another real example was a toy train. We used a toy train to illustrate ideas about services and service management. For example, what are the clashes between services? What are the service level agreements? How might your service annoy other people? How do you intersect with different services, with different providers? How do you cross over or bridge over other services without actually connecting them? But there must be a bridge, otherwise you get in each other's way. How do you deal with incidents? These are real practical things that we got out of using a toy train to explain ideas about service. And another example, this was a real one with a large city that was having to go onto onto a kind of digital transformation because they now faced something like a 50% budget cut and had to move over from doing services themselves to having citizens do a lot of the services or a lot of the initial work. So we worked on that one with a toy theatre. And for example, we modelled how an individual business process worked. This was a process for reporting an accident or reporting damage to a city asset. And we played it out as a little kind of play with little model figures on a toy theatre, and illustrated things like who's in the scene, who are the actors in the scene, who are the extras who are standing by that are just fill in the details of the scene and clutter it up. What are the relationships going on there? What's the setting? What's the stage? Who's looking at the stage? Who else is involved in the stage? Who's involved with managing what happens on this overall space? Now, when this happened, I was working with the Enterprise Architecture Unit, and they'd invited down these two very senior women. One was involved with communications between other cities of this same scale, and another one was a lead for strategy for the whole city. And they'd come down thinking this was going to be all about IT, and they were expecting to be totally bored. But at the end of it, it created so much trust. They said, if anything like this ever happens again, we want to be involved. But it also led on, the understandings from that helped us build a conventional multi-layered enterprise architecture, starting from big picture to the services and service relationships to the logical type structures, the kind of services that we needed without giving names, working our way down to physical, actual systems and actual things that would be done, and testing out live the actual process, the changed processes that we would use, including continuous learning from that loop. So building the architecture of a continuous loop. But we were able to do that because we made the whole thing engaging, we made the whole thing fun. That's actually what gets people to be motivated for change.